Where's Spartan?
Try it again, Jack. Adjust his hearing.
Wes.
Shake the man's hand. Burn that bar down with you in it.
Well, that's kind of what happened, Wes. You know about dealing with the auction house.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I know you don't want to talk to me. But what you said just, I don't pity you, Ty. I care about you.
I know.
Then why do you keep pushing me away?
Because
What are you afraid of?
I'm like my dad.
Ty, you're nothing like him.
Sure about that? Leaving in the middle of the family tradition.
You came back, didn't you?
Is it just me, or did that Heartland Season 19 trailer feel like a full-blown emotional roller coaster? I mean, Amy and Nathan bathing together? Georgie possibly making a comeback? And don't even get me started on the whisper of Ty's final goodbye. After nearly 2 decades of following this show, I thought I was prepared for anything. But this? This is different. Season 19 isn't just another chapter in the Heartland story. It looks like a turning point. A bold, emotional, and possibly controversial one. So, buckle up, because there's a lot to unpack, and trust me, it's more than just wedding bells and returning faces. Heartland Season 19 is officially in production, and honestly, I still can't believe it. For those of us who've been watching since day one, or even if you joined somewhere along the way, it feels surreal to know that Amy Fleming's journey is still unfolding, and in such a bold direction. Production kicked off in Alberta, and behind-the-scenes whispers are growing louder every single day. And from what we've seen and heard so far, this season isn't playing it safe, not even close. The trailer teased us with just enough to leave our heads spinning. Amy and Nathan, who just last season seemed like an uncertain match, are now front and center, completely vulnerable, completely connected. That bath scene, it wasn't just for shock value, it was a statement, a declaration that this relationship is real, intimate, and no longer hiding in the shadows of Amy's past. Let's be honest, seeing Amy move on still stings for some of us. Ty was more than a character. He was the heart of the show for so long. And I'll admit, I was skeptical about Nathan. I mean, how do you fill the shoes of someone like Ty? But something shifted last season. Amy didn't just start a new chapter, she started rediscovering herself. And Nathan, surprisingly, was a big part of that. Now, according to the latest rumors, and trust me, these come from people who know their stuff, Amy and Nathan might actually be getting married this season. Yeah, married, I know. It feels fast, it feels sudden, but maybe that's the point. Life doesn't always move at a safe, slow pace, especially not on the ranch. We've seen love grow under pressure before, and if anyone deserves happiness after all the loss and healing, it's Amy. But this isn't just about Amy and Nathan. Season 19 is shaping up to be one of the most emotionally layered seasons we've ever had. Word is, the creative team, now with Amber Marshall deeply involved as a producer, is doubling down on everything that makes Heartland what it is. Relationships, yes, but also legacy, family, land, and of course, horses. And here's where things get even more interesting. There's been major buzz about Georgie returning. Fans have been begging for this for years, and it seems like the writers finally listened. Alicia Newton's real-life wedding announcement only added fuel to the fire. People are now convinced that Georgie and Quinn could have their own wedding arc on screen, possibly tying it into her return to the ranch. And let me just say, if we finally get closure on Georgie's storyline, it will be long overdue. When she left after season 14, there was never a proper goodbye. Just a quiet exit. And that's never sat right with me, or most fans. Now imagine this. Amy and Nathan planning a wedding, Georgie returning home, possibly for her own wedding, and Lou back in the mix, dealing with politics and ranch pressure. That's not just a full house. That's a full-on emotional storm. And we haven't even gotten to the part that has fans talking the most. Ty's final goodbye. That's right. There are strong hints that we'll see Ty again. Not in some dramatic resurrection, but through flashbacks. Deep, emotional, tear-jerking flashbacks. Amber herself has hinted that this season will feature a true farewell for Ty. Something heartfelt. something final, something Amy, and we, never really got. And with her new relationship moving forward, it kind of makes sense. Amy can't truly begin a new life if she hasn't fully said goodbye to the old one. And speaking of new beginnings, the trailer also teased something many fans didn't expect: an expanded focus on horses, not just as background scenery, but as real, living characters again. Apparently, we'll be seeing new breeds, deeper training arcs, and the emotional bonds between humans and horses brought back to the forefront. It's something longtime viewers have been missing, and with Amber now in a more creative role, this pivot feels personal and deliberate. The horses have always been part of Heartland's soul, and it's about time they took center stage again. But even with all these changes, Amy's new love, returning characters, emotional flashbacks, there's still one thing that hasn't changed. Heartland knows how to make us feel everything. Joy, loss, growth, love, it's all wrapped up in every single episode. And from the looks of it, Season 19 might hit harder than anything that came before. So yes, Amy and Nathan's relationship is moving fast. Maybe too fast. Yes, Georgie might finally come back, and yes, Ty's memory is still very much alive. But that's the beauty of this show. It doesn't let you stay in one place. It moves, it grows, and it makes you feel like you're growing right alongside it. And let's be real, we wouldn't want it any other way. With Amy and Nathan's story unfolding faster than any of us expected, and Georgie's possible return still hanging in the air, it feels like Season 19 is building towards something huge, not just emotionally, but structurally. It's not just about one love story or one family reunion anymore. It's about how all the pieces of Heartland's history are being pulled together for what might become its most defining season yet. And right in the middle of all this chaos, Lou. That's right. Lou is making her move, and this time, it's not just personal, it's political. For those of us who've followed Lou's journey, we know she's not someone who backs down easily. From her early days trying to manage the ranch finances to navigating single motherhood and messy relationships, Lou's always carried that mix of ambition and heart. And now, with the ranch under more pressure than ever, thanks to the lingering tension with Price Beef, rumors are flying that she's considering stepping back into the political spotlight, not just to be heard, but to protect everything Heartland stands for. Now, let's be real for a second. Price Beef didn't just disappear after last season's finale. If anything, they're doubling down. And with the Bartlett-Fleming Ranch already recovering from a brutal drought and internal conflict, the idea of a corporate takeover still looms large in the background. This isn't just some side conflict, it's war. And Lou stepping back into politics might be the only thing standing between the ranch and complete collapse. But here's the twist. This political return isn't just about saving the land. It's personal. Deeply personal. Lou knows what it means to carry the weight of family history, to defend a legacy, to hold on when the world pushes you to let go. And let's not forget her previous time in office came with its own set of costs. Relationships strained, time lost, decisions second-guessed. So if she's getting back into it, she's doing so with her eyes wide open. This time, she's prepared. And more importantly, she's not doing it alone. From what we've heard, Lou's arc this season won't just show her as a leader, but as a mother, sister, and daughter who's trying to hold everything together while the world around her changes. With Amy stepping into a new marriage and Georgie potentially returning with a storyline of her own, Lou finds herself both on the sidelines and in the center of the storm. And as any longtime fan knows, when Lou is under pressure, she becomes one of the most compelling characters on the screen. But while the adults fight their battles, there's something even more beautiful happening in the background: the horses. If you're like me, you probably missed the days when Heartland gave as much love to the horses as it did to the people. And guess what? That's about to change. According to Amber Marshall herself, who now plays a bigger role behind the scenes, one of her top priorities was returning Heartland to its roots. And by that, she means real emotional storylines centered around the horses, introducing new breeds, showcasing deep training sequences, and highlighting the bond between rider and animal in a way we haven't seen since the early seasons. This shift isn't just nostalgic, it's intentional. The horses have always been symbolic in Heartland. They've mirrored the characters' journeys, their healing, their struggles, their victories. And in season 19, that symbolism is returning in full force. Amy's connection to horses was always more than just professional, it was spiritual. And now, as she tries to navigate a new relationship, step into a new life, and finally say goodbye to Ty, it's the horses that will guide her through that emotional terrain. But Amy isn't the only one who'll be deepening her bond with the animals this season. There's word that Lindy, Amy's daughter, is stepping into a much more active role, learning, training, and building her own relationships with the horses. And for fans who've always imagined Heartland continuing into the next generation, this is massive. We might be watching the beginning of a new legacy unfold right in front of us, one that blends Amy's strength, Ty's spirit, and Lindy's own fierce independence into something totally unique. Of course, it wouldn't be Heartland without tension, and with all these changes, Amy moving on, Lou stepping up, Lindy growing up, the show is laying the groundwork for serious emotional conflict. There's bound to be friction. Between sisters, between lovers, even between generations. Some will want to hold on to the past, others will be desperate to move forward. And that push and pull, that's where the magic happens. That's where Heartland shines. Now let's circle back to Georgie. If she does return, and right now the odds are looking better than ever, her arrival could change everything. Not just for Amy, who still sees Georgie as family, not just for Lou, who's always been a guiding figure, but for the entire dynamic of the show. Georgie left to chase Olympic dreams, but if she's coming home, she's bringing with her years of personal growth, stories we haven't seen, and choices that may not align with how everyone remembers her. What if she's changed? What if she doesn't want to stay? Or what if she returns only to discover that the place she left behind no longer feels like home? These are the questions season 19 is daring to ask. And instead of giving easy answers, it looks like the writers are letting things simmer, letting emotions surface slowly, letting the audience sit with that discomfort the same way we did when Ty died, or when Amy took her first steps forward again. This isn't fast storytelling. It's heartfelt, thoughtful, and sometimes painfully real. And if all that wasn't enough to get your heart racing, here's one final piece of news from behind the scenes. There's talk of a major cliffhanger ending this season, something that might set the stage for a very different season 20. Could it be another wedding? A departure? A tragedy? No one knows for sure. But what we do know is that this season isn't just tying up loose ends. It's laying new foundations. For the characters. For the ranch. For the future. Let's talk about the one name that still lingers over Heartland like a shadow. Ty. Even after all these seasons, after all the growth and healing, his absence is still felt in every scene, every glance, every quiet moment at the ranch. And now, with Amy and Nathan's relationship moving toward marriage, there's a huge question hanging over everything. Can Amy truly move on if she hasn't fully said goodbye? Season 19 looks like it's finally ready to answer that. And from the sounds of it, that answer is going to break our hearts all over again. Amber Marshall, who we all know doesn't speak lightly about her character's emotional journey, recently hinted that this season will feature a deeply personal, emotional farewell to Ty. And no, this won't be some dramatic twist with Ty suddenly reappearing from the dead. It won't be some cheap shock for ratings. Instead, what we're hearing is that Amy will go through a powerful emotional reckoning, something that allows her to finally let go in a way she never really could after Ty's death. This isn't about forgetting him, it's about honoring him, and giving both Amy and the audience the closure we never truly received. There's heavy speculation that Graham Wardle, who played Ty, might make a brief appearance in flashbacks or even dream sequences. Fans have spotted clues, set photos, leaked comments, and a few cryptic lines from Amber herself that suggest something is being planned behind the scenes. Now, it's not confirmed, but if this turns out to be true, it would mark one of the most emotional moments in Heartland's entire history. Imagine Amy sitting alone in the barn, the same place where she and Ty shared so many memories, And we get to see those memories through her eyes, revisiting their love, their laughter, their pain, and maybe, finally, saying goodbye. That kind of scene would do more than just make us cry. It would bring Amy's story full circle. Because let's be honest, as much as we've tried to accept Nathan, there's always been this invisible wall between Amy's past and her future. We've seen her try to move forward, but it always felt like something was holding her back. Ty wasn't just her husband. He was the center of her world for so long. Letting go of that kind of love doesn't happen in a single season. It takes time. And most importantly, it takes a decision. And in season 19, Amy has to decide. Does she keep living in the past, or does she finally open her heart to what's right in front of her? And what's in front of her now is Nathan. A man who, let's face it, was hard to trust at first. He showed up, stirred things up, and carried a lot of baggage. But episode by episode, he's proved that he's not trying to replace Ty. He's just trying to be there for Amy. And if the rumors are true about their wedding being part of this season's big storyline, then we're in for a massive shift. A shift not just in Amy's life, but in the emotional foundation of the entire show. Because let's think about it. If Amy marries Nathan, it means the show is no longer looking back. It's choosing to move forward, to evolve. And not everyone is going to be ready for that. Some fans are going to resist it. Some already are. But maybe that's the point. Maybe Heartland isn't asking us to forget Ty or pretend he didn't matter. Maybe it's showing us what it looks like to carry someone with you while still learning to love again. It's messy, it's real, and it's painfully beautiful. Now here's where it gets even more complicated. What if Ty's final goodbye isn't just about Amy? What if it affects the entire family? Lindy, who's growing up fast, has started asking questions. About her father, about what happened. And kids her age, they don't forget things. They don't just move on. There's a chance that this season will explore Lindy's emotional connection to her dad in a way we haven't seen yet. Maybe through stories or letters or moments where she feels his absence more than ever before. And how Amy handles those moments could be what defines her as a mother just as much as anything else. And speaking of emotional weight, let's not forget Jack, Grandpa Jack, who's been the backbone of Heartland since the very beginning, is also carrying more than we realize. He lost Ty too. And while he may not talk about it often, the pain is there. In every quiet look, every sigh, every piece of advice he gives to Amy or Lou. There's a growing theory among fans that Jack will be the one to push Amy toward healing. Not with big speeches, but with the quiet kind of wisdom only he can deliver. Something like, "You'll never stop loving him, but that doesn't mean you can't love someone else too." That kind of line, that would stay with us forever. And in the middle of all this, love, loss, moving on, there's still the ranch, the land, the horses. They're the silent characters in this story, and it's clear the writers haven't forgotten that. One of the most powerful metaphors this season seems to be building is how horses, like people, deal with change. Some resist, some fight it. Some need to be retrained with love and patience, and that's exactly what Amy is going through. She's been trained by grief, conditioned by loss. But now, with new love, a growing daughter, and the weight of Ty's memory still present, she's learning how to be free again, how to trust again, how to ride forward. And let's not overlook the fact that this season could also be the beginning of something bigger. With Amy taking on more responsibility, Lou stepping into politics, Lindy growing into her own, and Georgie possibly returning, Heartland might be planting seeds for its long-term future, maybe even preparing the next generation of stories. Because if there's one thing we've learned over the years, it's that Heartland isn't just about one character or one love story. It's about legacy. And this season, it feels like a bridge between what the show was and what it's about to become. So yes, season 19 is giving us a bath scene. It's giving us romance, drama, maybe even a wedding. But beneath all of that, it's giving us closure. For Ty, for Amy, and for all of us who have held on to this story for nearly 2 decades. And the truth is, we're not just watching these characters grow. We're growing with them. So here we are, on the edge of something that feels so familiar yet completely new. Heartland Season 19 isn't just about continuing a story. It's about closing one chapter and opening another, all in the same breath. After everything we've seen, after all the heartbreak, healing, and quiet moments in between, it's clear that this season is a love letter to the past and a bold declaration of the future. It's as if the show itself knows how much it means to us, how we've grown up with these characters, how we've carried their joys and their grief like our own. And now it's choosing to honor that by giving us something we didn't even know we needed. Real, meaningful closure. For Amy, that means finally finding peace with Ty's memory, while embracing the possibility of a new forever with Nathan. It won't be easy. Nothing in Heartland ever is. But there's something profoundly moving about watching a woman who's been through so much finally allow herself to be happy again. And not just for the sake of moving forward, but because she truly deserves it. And whether you're fully on board with Nathan or still hesitant like many of us, it's impossible to ignore the fact that this story is being told with care, with heart, with layers. And if they do end up marrying this season, it won't be a replacement of Ty. It'll be Amy's brave choice to love again, while still holding on to the man who made her who she is. For Georgie, if she returns, and all signs suggest that she might, it will be a return not just to a place, but to a version of herself she left behind. Seeing her back at Heartland, reconnecting with the people who raised her, possibly even marrying Quinn in a symbolic full-circle moment. It's the kind of payoff longtime fans dream about. Because even though she's been gone for years, her story was never really over. It was paused. And now? Now it might finally be time to press play again. And whether she stays for one episode or an entire arc, her return will ripple through every corner of the ranch, reminding us that family is never really gone. Sometimes they just come home when they're ready. And Lou, our ever-driven, often conflicted powerhouse, is stepping into one of her biggest roles yet. If she does return to politics, it won't just be for ambition. It'll be for protection, for leadership, for legacy. Watching her juggle that while navigating family life, Amy's new relationship, and the ongoing war with Price Beef, that's going to be intense, and maybe even triggering, in the best possible way. Because Lou has always been at her best when she's balancing too much and still finding a way to fight for what matters. And this time, the stakes aren't just personal, they're about the future of Heartland itself. But here's the thing, no matter how much changes, some things will always remain the same. The land, the mountains, the barns, the quiet moments between characters, the way the horses listen without judgment. That's what grounds this show. And season 19, more than any other season, seems to understand that. The trailer already hinted at a return to form, a focus on the ranch as more than just a setting, but as a living, breathing character in its own right. With new horses being introduced, new training arcs, and deeper emotional bonds between animals and humans, it's a reminder that Heartland isn't just about people. It's about healing. And that healing has always started in the stables. There's also a quiet yet powerful shift happening this season, a generational passing of the torch. With Lindy growing up, spending more time around the horses, learning from her mother, and starting to understand what Heartland truly means, it's hard not to feel like the next story is slowly being written in the background. The next Amy, the next journey, the next legacy. And while we're not there yet, the seeds are clearly being planted. Carefully, intentionally, as if the showrunners are preparing us for a day when the faces might change, but the heart of Heartland stays the same. And that's what makes season 19 so powerful. It's not just telling new stories, it's respecting old ones, giving us the closure we deserve while still offering us new reasons to keep watching, keep caring, and keep believing in this world. Whether it's through Ty's emotional goodbye, Amy's brave steps toward love, Georgie's long-awaited return, or Lou's political fire. It all leads back to one thing, the idea that life moves forward, even after the hardest losses, and somehow, love always finds a way to grow again. So what happens after season 19? Well, that's the big question, isn't it? There's already talk of a season 20, and if season 19 delivers the way we think it will, then it won't just be wanted, it'll be needed. Because there's still more story to tell, more horses to train, more relationships to test, more healing to witness. And honestly, after everything Heartland has given us over the years, it feels like the least we can do is keep showing up. Episode after episode, season after season, heart wide open. So if you've made it this far, you're not just a fan, you're part of the Heartland family. And this season, it's for you, for all of us, for every tear we've shed, every smile we've shared, every time we wished we could live in that little ranch house by the mountains. Because deep down, we already do. And as we wait for the new episodes to finally arrive, one thing's for sure. Heartland Season 19 is going to change everything. And I, for one, can't wait to feel every single second of it.